There is absolutely nothing like being out behind a good bird dog, is there, Bob?
Oh, gosh, Dave. You know, I've hunted practically all over the world, all kinds of game, but there's nothing I enjoy more than hunting here in Iowa over a good dog.
It's great, isn't it? Pheasants, quail.
You name it.
You
That's
name
my
it.
bag.
And without that dog, I believe I'd stay home.
Yeah, that's the fun.
Hans does an awful nice job, too. Real thorough dog. He's getting birdie. He's getting birdie.
I think it's your shot, Dave. You take this one. I'll back you up.
There, he looks like he's got it now. Back
sure
me up.
Sure.
Want to flush that bird for me, Harold? Oh, this is when the heart starts to thumping.
Whoa, whoa! Hen.
Oh. All right. I'd have much rather that would have been a rooster, but it's still good watching the dog.
Yeah, isn't it, though?
The dog works what we're here for.
Yeah, he did a beautiful job.
He did a beautiful job. German wire-haired pointer, beautiful dog.
Sure is.
Doggone it, Bob, that's just my luck that bird would be a hen.
I think that's only right. Maybe I get the first rooster.
Well, with your luck, you probably will, too.
Yeah, let's hope so. Come on, Hans, let's find us a rooster.
Let's go, Hans, hunt him up. Hans did a nice job on that bird, though, didn't he?
Sure did.
Oop, there we go. We got it, and it's your turn. Just move in, let Harold flush that bird for you.
Good boy, Hans.
Beautiful work. All right, Hans, leave it. Good dog.
Terrific.
Okay, let's review what just happened. Hans used his brains, his natural instincts, and his training. He hunted at a very acceptable range, quartered nicely, sought out objectives intelligently. Then he established a very staunch point which he held for the flush and the shot. In other words, he stood steady to wing and shot. He didn't go for the bird until he was released. Then he made a nice retrieve two-hand. Pretty near perfect gun dog performance.
Sure was. It was a beautiful job. You know what I'd like to know, Dave, is how does a fellow like me or any of the viewers of this video train a dog to work like that?
That's a good question, Bob. And what you have to do, of course, is start at the beginning. In other words, you've got to start with the right pupil, the right pup. And I don't know anybody who's better at picking pups than Dr. Stan Haig. Doc is the owner of Doc's Dog Kennel and Hunt Club right here in Adel, Iowa. 2 years in a row, the last 2 years in a row, he was named the Midwest Amateur Handler of the Year. He's personally owned and handled 8 national champions, and he served as a national championship judge. Now, Doc has probably literally picked hundreds of pups. And I think what you ought to do is ask him how he does it.
I'd like to have him pick a dog for me.
All right, let's do it.
All right, let's go. Doc, we had a great hunt this morning. That dog Hans really performed. You know, I'd like to know, how do I go about getting a dog like Hans?
You really have to start with a dog with genetic potential, and you have to start with a puppy, or unless you find someone who has a well-trained dog for sale, which is getting more rare. And starting with a puppy and picking the proper puppy is a real science and art, and the only way that you can do this is to pick the right litter. And a lot of people worry about picking the right pup out of the litter. What you really need to do is to select the right litter. And in doing this, you need to get a litter of pups that are from prepotent parents that have been bred for what you want to do. If, for example, you want to buy dogs, if you're going to go pheasant hunting, that come from a kennel or a breeder that is oriented towards pheasant and quail hunting. You don't necessarily, if you're going to hunt out of a Jeep in Texas on a hunting lease down there, you wouldn't want to go to Maine and buy a dog that was bred to hunt woodcock. So you need to show a lot of interest and become interested in selecting the correct litter of pups, and that's where you really begin.
Now this term prepotency, explain that to me again.
Prepotency is a breeder's term, and we use this term, and what it means to you is that this is a pair of dogs that have been proved to produce good puppies. A lot of dogs that are prepotent are not field trial dogs, and they are not champion dogs, but usually they're field trial champions in their background. But we know that they carry the genes and the ability to consistently produce a good hunting dog. And these dogs in themselves may not be titled dogs, but they carry good bloodlines, and we find that they have the ability to create above average number of dogs. We find prepotent dogs usually by line breeding and by watching what a dog throws over the years. Now, I've been breeding dogs for about 20 years, and we're on about our 8th generation. And when I find that a certain combination of dogs produces good puppies, and we keep repeating that litter, and we would say that these parents are prepotent. We also have some stud dogs and some other bitches, and no matter how they're bred, they seem to produce above average number of offspring. And that's where we get the term prepotency.
Back up and let's talk about that line breeding. I'm not sure I'm acquainted with that.
Line breeding is breeding of relatives, and maybe not very close relatives, but generally, and this term will vary, it is not inbreeding where you're breeding brothers and sisters and fathers and daughters, but it's generally dogs that have similar grandparents. And it's a general term, and this will vary a little bit from person to person. But by doing this, we're then able to predict what we're going to get for puppies and what we have gotten over the past. And this is one of the guidelines that we use in breeding. It's really important for the average viewer to understand that breeding of dogs is not a science. It's an art, and you can only breed good dogs consistently by observing over the time what you've produced in the past and trying not to make similar mistakes, or if you've done something right, to repeat that.
I see. Well, after all this, where do I start?
With all this information, it's very difficult for the average person like yourself who has some expertise in dogs to even pick the right litter. You almost need to rely upon a breeder of good reputation, and you need to evaluate a kennel that is producing dogs of the quality that you're interested in, or a private breeder who is notably producing dogs and may have some offspring out that you could say, well, Joe's got a dog like this, and this is the kind of dog I'd like. Now, where did Joe get it, and what are the bloodlines of this dog, or where did it come from? So you need to go to look at the kennel or the breeder and see what kind of dogs he's producing.
Doc, what should I expect to pay for this pup?
Cost in a dog will vary widely, but almost all of your dogs are going to start in the $200 range and then go on up. Generally, a good hunting dog is going to cost somewhere from $200 to $500. Just the cost of stud fees at the present time for a good stud is about $400 or $500 for a stud fee. And if you have to ship your bitch, you're probably looking at least that much money in shipping expenses. So a breeder could get easily $1,000 into a litter of dogs before he even knows if he's going to have any puppies. So $200 to $500 is a fair range.
Sure enough. How do I pick the best one out of the litter? I've heard all sorts of theories, like grab the one that goes to the food first, or the most aggressive one. I'm sure you've got some ideas on that.
There's a whole list of wives' tales, and they really are wives' tales of how to pick the best pup out of the litter. And I'd like to first emphasize that picking the correct litter is far more important than picking the correct pup. If anybody could really pick the best pup out of a litter, I would pay him a handsome fee to come down here and pick the best pup out of each one of our litters. You really don't know which is the best pup out of the litter till they're 5 years old and completely trained, and then you know which is the best pup. Generally speaking, the way I pick puppies is I decide what sex I would like, and then I just personally like to pick a pup that looks the most like the mother or the father, depending upon what I pick. A conscientious breeder has already eliminated the dogs that have obvious faults, genetic faults, so you shouldn't need to worry about that.
Well, that sure makes sense. It sounds to me as though reliance on a good conscientious breeder is pretty important too.
I think that's the most important part, unless you've become sophisticated enough to make your own decisions in time.
Yeah. Oh, that's good advice.
Bob, I'd like to show you one of the pups that we've selected from a litter that we're going to keep here at the kennel.
Great.
Come here, Gabby. Gabby's a 7-week-old short hair, And we selected her, first of all, we were looking for a female, and because she looks the most like her mother. In fact, she looks so much like her mother, we've named her after her mother. We're going to turn this dog over to Harold Adams, our resident trainer here, who's been here about 5 years, and have him train her to be a gun dog. Harold's been training dogs for about 30 years, and his expertise really is in teaching people to train their own dogs. And with that, we'll turn her over to Harold.
So Doc wants you to be a finished gun dog, does he? Well, I'm afraid you're just a little young for pre-training at this point in your life. But when we get to the time where we're going to start doing some formal training with you, I'm going to take the approach that one of the world-famous NCAA coaches took when he won most of the national championships in this country. And that is to teach you the parts of the whole until we've taught you to be a complete dog. Isn't he something, Dave?
She's a doll, Harold. Let me see. That's a nice pup. Now, Harold, I just heard you say a second or two ago that this pup was a little too young for pre-training. Of course, that begs the question, when will she be ready for pre-training?
Well, there are a lot of informal things that we could do, Dave, that you might not call pre-training, that are prior to the training process. We'll do pre-training as she gets a little older, and probably start formal training as when she becomes 6 months of age.
Okay, as a part of the early process in the training, though, is that socialization? And if so, how important is socialization?
That's one of the more important aspects of this breed and most pointing breeds, in that they need to have that personal contact with people so that they mature and are willing to participate as your mate through the hunting process.
One of the questions I've been asked a lot, Harold, is it okay to keep a pup like this age, or even older as they grow up, in the house, or should a gun dog always be kept in the kennel like some people say?
Oh, no, Dave. I think that they need to be an important part of your family, and I think that it's good that they're in the house and that your family participate with them and your children play with them and allow them to socialize. And there's a bonding relationship there that is vitally important to them and their maturity.
Mm-hmm. Kids are good for a pup this age, too.
Oh, boy, they really are.
All right. How do we find out if this little gal's got any point in her?
Set her down and let's take a peek at her. Isn't that something?
That's nice.
You know,
That's
there's a lot of
nice.
pointing instinct in that little pup.
When you play this little trick here, Harold, one of the things you don't want to have happen is for that pup to catch that wing, right?
That's for sure. You know, really what you're doing is saying that this pup has a lot of pointing instinct. You're not saying that it has a good nose, but you're saying that it has a lot of pointing instinct, and that's vitally important in relationship to it being a mature, pointing gun dog.
Right. Let's see if you can get her to do that again. All right. Way to go, Gabby. Thanks, Harold. Another very important part of the pre-training process is teaching a dog to lead. Now that sounds real simple, doesn't it? Just snap a lead on a dog's collar and drag it around, right? Wrong.
I hope you don't believe that's the right way to teach a young dog to lead, because it certainly isn't. What that can develop is a characteristic called leash shyness in a dog, which may stay with that dog through its entire training life. And it's really important that that dog have a positive experience when you put a leash on it. Now, we have a way here that we train young pups, and we snap them on a short 18-inch chain and a stake. I'd like to show it to you here. We take this 18-inch chain and stake, and we'll snap that pup on, and then we'll get completely away from that puppy. What happens is, if there are any negative experiences, that pup attaches those experiences to that chain and that stake rather than to a person. Now you watch, I'll snap this pup on here, and he'll fight this chain and stake. And that occurs for about 3 days, and you need to take that pup out for about 2 hours a day for 3 days, allow it to fight that chain and stake until such time as it adjusts. Then you can snap the check cord on that pup, lead it away, and you never have any problem as you're out there training and letting it drag that check cord. Come here, little fella. You see how frightened that dog gets of that stake and that chain? Well, that'll go on for about 3 days. Now what I'd like to do is get an older pup and show you how the adjustment works to the positive when you allow that pup to adjust to that stake and chain. Okay, here's a young dog that has already made the adjustment to the stake and the chain. He's had a number of sessions out here and become pretty well adjusted to this and doesn't fight it. Now, I think it's important that you remember that those sessions should be fairly short, maybe 2 hours at a maximum for 2 or 3 days in a row. This allows that pup to go out there and play and adjust. You can feed and water him out there. Pretty soon he won't even notice that he's got that chain on him. Watch this little fella. All right, Kurt, come on. See there, he accepts it very matter of fact, and I think that's really important in his adjustment. Now what we're going to do is put him on a check cord, take him out here in the field, and let him maybe experience the first plateau in pre-training, and that is, you know, experiencing nature in the outdoors. Come on, all right.
If you'll follow Harold's excellent advice on teaching your pup to lead, and if you'll give that pup a proper introduction to the field and to nature, you'll be well on your way to having a pup that's a pleasure to work with and train, and one that's going to become a good friend and a great hunting companion. Now, the next phase of pre-training, phase 2, is lots of fun and also critically important. We're dealing here with what we refer to as bird dogs and gun dogs. So now it's time to introduce them to, what else? Birds and guns.
We're going to introduce a young dog to birds and the gun. So as a part of that process, I'm going to plant a bird. As you notice, I have gloves on because I don't want to confuse that young dog with human scent. So I'll use these gloves to plant this bird. Now the way that we plant these birds are that we'll take its head, put it underneath its wing like so. Then we'll lay that bird on that side where its head's underneath its wing, and we'll extend its feet out like this. As we lay that bird in there, that bird will lay still because its feet are out. Now it's vitally important that you pull those feet out, because if the bird gets its feet up underneath itself, it'll raise up and fly away. Let me show you how I put it in the cover. Now we'll get a young dog out here and we're going to lead it in on that bird. Now it isn't vitally important that that dog point a bird, but it certainly would be nice if it does. Once it smells that bird, I'm going to let it chase that bird while I fire the gun. Come here, Fritz. Here, Fritzy. Fritzy, come here, boy. That's a boy. Yes, come here, come here. Come on. Here, Fritz, Fritz, come here. Come here. Come here, Fritz, come here. Come here. Come here. Now, you notice how intensely interested that young dog was? That's vitally important, that they be that interested before you fire the gun. Many times people will come to me and they'll say, Harold, my dog was interested in something and I shot the gun and it bothered him. And what I'll find out is that the dog was looking at their neighbor or looking at the cars going by when they fired. It was not intensely interested in something. You noticed? That young dog never even heard the gun. Now, should your dog become confused when that occurs, bring the dog back, work it on birds, don't fire the gun. Make it a positive situation again. Let him get enthused before you introduce that gun. Let him chase further before you fire the gun. Then, as you bring him in the next time, reintroduce the gun, letting him chase, and then as you go on, you increase the gauge of the gun, make it bigger, keep it away from him, then work up closer until you're shooting the shotgun and until you can shoot game for that dog, and that'll all be a very positive experience for him.
That completes the pup's pre-training. Remember, during pre-training, in fact, during all dog training, be consistent. Once you've selected a command, stick with it. A dog learns by repetition. If you keep changing commands, you're going to confuse the dog. Remember, too, to have frequent training sessions and keep them short. And don't train faster than the dog can learn. In other words, be sure each phase of training is clearly understood before you move on to the next phase. And above all, have fun. Keep your training positive and upbeat. Now that we've completed pre-training, it's time to get serious. We're going to teach that most important of all pointing dog commands, whoa. But first, see if this scene looks familiar to you.
Come on, lady. Up, up, come on. Here, boy. That boy. Birds in here. Get in. That boy. Birds in here, Wade. Up, Wade, up. Up.
Oh, 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 oh. No, Wade, no.
Well, I hope that scene doesn't look too familiar to you, but I'm sure it does remind you, as it does me, of some times that we'd probably rather forget. Times when our dogs were, shall we say, less than perfectly obedient. Our friend in that scene used the command whoa about 20 times, all to no avail. But that command, whoa, is absolutely the most important pointing dog command. To be a complete gun dog, your dog has to know and obey the command whoa. There are several effective ways to teach whoa. One of them is using the training table. That's a method that's used extensively by members of the North American Versatile Hunting Dog Association. Gun Dog Magazine offers a tape called Gun Dog Training Pointing Dogs, featuring Bob West, in which the training table method is taught in depth. If you don't already have that tape, I'd urge you to get a copy from Gun Dog Magazine. The method of teaching whoa used by Harold Adams is the rope and sling method. Harold, show us how it works.
Okay, Dave. Like you, Dave, I believe that whoa is the foundation command for every pointing dog that you're training. Not only does it mean stay, but it means stop, don't move, all of those kinds of things, which are really important in terms of making a dog staunch on point, in honoring, and steady to shot and wing. Now, we like the rope and sling method because, number one, it's fairly inexpensive. All you need is a nylon check cord and a hook in a tree. It also allows you, as one person, to maintain control of your dog, which I think is really good. I'm going over here on the tree, and we'll rig this dog up so that you can see how we do the rope and sling whoa method. Come here. Now, I should tell you, this young dog has never been whoaed in its life. This is a first time for it. It'll be a new experience. Young dogs react different in all kinds of situations. Some dogs will raise up and they'll bite the cord. Some dogs will freeze and they don't move. They're very immobile. It's really interesting to see what occurs on a first time in relationship to this thing. We'll take our cord, and what we do is, and this is just a simple check cord, nylon check cord with a brass snap on it, we'll run this back through this dog's collar from front to back. We take it back here on the dog's flank, and we run it underneath the flank like this, and snap it on the cord. That way there's some give on this thing, and it also allows it to slide. Now we have the dog so that the sling looks like this, so that we have some support for this dog. We'll hook it on this hook on the tree. Now, if you notice, not only does it give support back on the haunches here, but it gives support in the neck, as well as you're standing in front, and you can maintain a good view of that dog and maintain some degree of eye control as you give him the command, whoa. Now what I'll do is, I'll stand in front of this dog, give the command, whoa. If the dog does not stand still, I'll raise it up in the air, and we'll have to see what the reaction is. May, whoa, 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 whoa. May, whoa. Now you notice, she's frightened. What you do is, you take that dog out of its own environment. It is somewhat of a frightening experience if you take their feet completely away from them. But it also makes her stand still. Notice the rigidity in her legs, you know. She's standing there and she's gripping that ground because she doesn't want to be lifted up. It gives you an opportunity then to look at that dog, reinforce the command by saying, whoa, whoa. Now, she didn't react as bad as we thought she would because it's a frightening experience. Whoa. The next step in relationship to this process is, after we get the dog standing, I'll walk around her, rub her body, reinforce her, make her feel somewhat comfortable in this situation. Whoa, whoa. As you notice, that rope does allow me to maintain that control, though, and I can keep that dog's head forward. Whoa, 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 me, whoa, 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 whoa. We'll reinforce her by rubbing her legs, making her feel somewhat comfortable in the situation. As you notice, the only time that I really have to touch the dog is when I'm reinforcing her, not when I'm correcting her. We do the correction with the rope, and we do the reinforcement with our hand. Whoa, whoa. See, she doesn't want to move because she thinks that the minute that she does move, she's going up off her feet. May, whoa, whoa, whoa. It works fairly effective, you know. Some dogs it takes 2 or 3 times on the tree. The nice part about this whole process is it transfers well to the ground, and we'll go through that in just a moment. We'll go once more around her, reinforce her a little bit, make her feel good about this whole situation, and also make her understand that she has to stand still. Now, if you have another person with you, you can allow that person to control the rope for you while you walk around, rub her legs, pick up her hindquarters, set her down, make her feel comfortable in that situation, and understand that she's doing right. Whoa. Where I'm doing it by myself, I can at least hold this rope out like this, maintain her head forward, and still let her know that she's doing right. Whoa. As you saw previously, if you need to set the dog back, you can grip this rope, pick the dog up like that, say whoa. It works quite well. It's a fairly effective way of teaching whoa. 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 We'll rub her legs, make her feel positive about this whole thing, let her know she's doing right, but still maintain this control so that she can do it. Now, what you do is slowly slack off the tension on that line so that it doesn't bite her flank or so that it doesn't pull on her collar, and yet that dog knows that she's doing right. Oh, man. Now, what I'd like to do with this young dog is transfer to the ground. And what I mean by that is I'm going to take this rope off the hook. We'll maintain our check cord like this. And that's the nice part about it is this transfers well, and see if that dog remembers that she's supposed to stand still. Now, if she doesn't, you still have the capability yourself to lift her up. Usually, as I told you previously, it takes about 3 times of doing this before the dog's ready to transfer to the ground and you can move around them. Whoa. Whoa. In that check cord just as you did before, you still have the same tension on the dog. The dog still feels the same in terms of the whoaing process. So we rub May, we move around her, we say whoa, whoa, whoa. We pick up her hindquarters. Whoa. Whoa. We want her to feel good about this whole process. Whoa, whoa. Okay? What I'd like to do, Dave, is go over and show you how we continue this.
For our viewers' benefit, I think it's really important that we emphasize the fact that this was the very first time that May was ever on the tree. That's right, isn't it?
Yes, it is, Dave.
I know that's true because this is Dr. Haig's dog, and he's the one who's been doing most of the training. So this was your first real exposure to May and May's first real exposure to you. Now, so that we don't leave any wrong impressions here, normally you're not going to get this far with a dog the very first session, are you?
No, you certainly aren't, Dave. What it usually takes is about 2 to 3 sessions on the tree before you make the transition out into the yard.
How long a session?
About 15 to 20 minutes.
If you were to summarize everything that we just saw and hit the most important parts of that training, what would you say they are? What are the most important parts of teaching whoa?
Okay, the key is, again, you know, to make sure that you put the nylon cord through the collar from the front, wrap it around the dog's flank, you know, so that you're looking at the dog and maintaining the eye control. Put the cord up over the hook, raise the dog up, give the command when you set it back down, you know, saying sharply, whoa. I think that's an important aspect in relationship to teaching it on the tree.
Right. And in using the rope and sling method, it's not you so much that's doing the punitive kinds of things. I mean, it's the rope, right?
That's right.
That's part of the philosophy behind this thing.
All of your personal contact is reinforcement, and that's the nice part about it. When you're doing the corrective types of things, you're using that rope to do those corrective types of things rather than actually laying your hands on the dog to cause that to happen.
Okay, now you brought Ace out here to show us how the process continues, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
This is a young 18-month-old dog, and we've done a little work with him, and what we'd like to show you is that there is a necessity to transfer this from the tree out into the yard to continue your yard work.
Okay, show our viewers how the process continues.
Okay, Dave, I shall. Now we're going to transfer what we've done on the tree onto the ground. And of course, as a part of that process, we're going to have the same support. So we'll take our check cord, run it through the front of the dog's collar, put it around his flank, snap it on himself, so that it's the same support mechanism that we had on that tree sling. Now, the next step is to whoa the dog, and the dog knows that. Whoa. Back off, give the command again, say whoa, and move around the dog to ensure that he knows that he's to stand still when you give that command. Whoa. Then you want to go up and give the praise to the dog so that he knows he's done the right thing. Whoa. After you've done that for 2 or 3 sessions, then you can release the dog and let him move around. As he moves around, you're going to whoa him. Now, should he not stop, it's necessary to go get the dog, bring him back to the original spot, stand him up, give him the command, go back where you gave the command, and do it again. So let's try it and see how he does. Ace, Ace, come here. Ace, Ace. All right. All right, get ahead. Get ahead. Whoa, whoa. Once the dog stops, you go give him the praise, let him know he's done the right thing. Whoa. Whoa. All right, Ace, come here. All right. Whoa, whoa. Again, give him the praise because he's done what he should have done. Whoa. All right, Ace, come here. Now, a couple of things that can occur as a part of this process is your dog may sit down. Should he sit down, you have the cord on him properly. You have it around his flank, up through his collar. You can prompt that dog back to a standing position. Works very well. Another thing that occurs is that dog may come to you when you give the whoa command. Should he do that, you pick that dog up by your cord, take him back and stand him in the original position where you gave the command whoa. Then you come back where you gave the command and you say whoa, walk back up, praise the dog, tell him he's done the right thing, and go ahead and give him the release again. Now remember, you have to keep these sessions short, 15 to 20 minutes, and you have to quit on a positive note. That's very, very important. Now, also a part of the natural progression of this whole process is to teach a dog to come. The reason being is you still use the same support, the check cord through the collar, back around the flank. If the dog's out there, you want him to come to you, you give him a short jerk, you say, Ace, come. That's a boy. Don't forget to praise him if he does the right thing. Now, if you need to, you can incorporate something else in there. Whoa. This is the time to use the whistle. You've whoaed your dog, he knows come, he knows that if you don't, you're going to jerk that cord. Now you add this whistle, the same thing. Ace, come. Good boy, good boy. Again, you want to use short sessions, do it frequently. You can let the dog go out there, you can whoa him like this. Come here, Ace, all right. All right, Ace, whoa. Ace. Good boy, Ace, good boy. So that you use that positive praise. Now, the next thing that we need to talk about is healing. And people always say, why do you teach a dog to heel? First of all, it's a part of this progression of training. Secondly, what normally occurs is you're hunting out in a field, you get to the end of that field, you're on a busy highway. So you reach back in your hunting vest and you say, I'll put on my leash. You don't have your leash. How are you going to control that dog? You need to give the command, heel. Then the dog knows that they're to come and walk beside you, and you won't lose your hunting partner that you're going to have for quite a number of years. Now, what we use to start this process with is the choke chain and a healing leash. So we're going to put this on, Ace, and talk about that process. Now, when you first start healing a dog, don't get into a tug of war. What people will do is they'll start leading that dog and they'll pull on that dog like this. They'll apply constant pressure. Now the dog comes, but there's always the normal amount of resistance, which is not good when you're teaching a dog to heel. So whenever you give the command, when you first start, you accentuate it with a short jerk, like that. You say heel and do that, okay? Watch this. Ace, heel. Heel. Should you stop? The dog does not stop where it should. You prompt it back to the right position and give the command, heel. That's very important also. Ace, heel. Heel. Again, it's important that you remember these are short sessions and you finish on a positive note. Now, we've gone through whoa, we've gone through come, and we've gone through heel. Now, the nice part about all of these commands are that you can incorporate them into a little exercise that you can use at home in your backyard, you can use in the public park, you can go out around the local pond where there's some ground, and you can play with this dog, go through this exercise, and come off with a fairly obedient hunting dog. It goes something like this. Ace, heel. Heel. Ace, whoa. Ace, come. Whoa. Ace, come. Good boy. Ace, heel. 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 Ace, heel. Ace, whoa. Good boy, good boy. Hey. Remember, always finish these sessions on a positive note. When you get to this point, you have a dog that's probably trained better than most dogs that they're hunting in the field today. But we want more. We'd like a dog that points staunchly, is responsive, and steady to wing and shot. All of that's coming up next in field work. In this section on staunchness on point, we're going to be using birds. So what I've done is I've got a pigeon here, and I'm going to show you one of the different methods that we use in terms of planting game. What we do is, and I'll use the wing lock method for this, is that we cross this bird's wings right at the base, like so, and then we cross them above the first joint so that the bird's like this. It does not seem to create a great deal of discomfort for the bird, and yet they will lie still until the dog goes in and establishes point. Now, the one thing that you do have to do is you have to untie their wings prior to flushing this bird. So we've got its wings tied. What we're going to do is plant it in the cover, and as you note, I'm planting it, the wind's blowing from this direction, so I'll plant it on that side of the cover because our dog's going to come in here and establish point this way. Now, what I've done is I've used gloves as a part of this process for planting birds, and I think that's highly important that you keep the human scent away from the game, because what happens is a lot of dogs will not point game that has human scent on it, and especially after you've done any type of corrective training. Now remember, we're going to take that dog in on the downwind side so that the wind's blowing towards it, because it will be pointing that scent. Now let me show you a young dog that we have here. Come here, Ab. Come here. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Come here. Oh, baby. As you see, we still have the check cord on it in the same manner as when we did the yard work, around the flank, up through the collar. Now, this is an extension of the whoa command. So let's take this dog down and put it on some birds and see what it does. All right, Abby, come here. Come here, here. Come in here. Whoop, whoop, birds in here. Come here. Whoop. Now, the dog has established point. What we need to do is go in and style that dog up. Whoop, whoop. Give it a little positive reinforcement. Whoa. We'll rub it the wrong direction. Whoa. Now, what oftentimes happens is your dog will move forward. If your dog moves forward, what you need to do is correct it by resetting, like so. Whoa. 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 Again, don't forget the reinforcement. That's really important at this point in time. Whoa. Whoa. Now, we'll hang on to our check cord. As you go in to flush the bird, do not walk directly by that dog. If you walk directly by that dog, that's an open invitation to help you flush that bird. So what we're going to do, take this check cord, walk out around. Whoa, whoa, whoa. When the bird goes out, we're going to allow the dog to chase, and we're going to fire the blank pistol to simulate hunting again. It's important at this stage in their development that they still maintain a little enthusiasm, and they're going to do that by chasing briefly. Whoa. 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 Whoa, Abby, whoa. Now what you have to remember is, you don't do that one time. This is something that you must repeat. And again, you should put that bird in natural cover where that dog is going to find it. So, what we'll do, put another bird out here, bring the young dog in, Be sure and handle it. Reinforce that dog. Let it know it's doing right. That's really important at this stage in its development. We have this dog staunch on point now. What we're going to have to do is teach it to handle. Now, as you note, I still have the check cord on the dog in the same manner that we had when we did the yard work and we taught it whoa. We have it wrapped around its flank, run up through its collar, and we're going to allow that dog to drag it as a part of this process when we're training it. Now, a common complaint from people is that their dog has too much range. I'm saying that if you've done your homework right, if you've taught that dog whoa, if you've taught it to respond on a voice command, and if you've taught it to respond on a whistle, then you won't have that problem with excessive range. Now what we're going to do is to assist this young dog in developing its natural ability to hunt by putting it in the right cover. A common complaint of people is, my dog doesn't know where to find birds. What they do is, they train it out in a big open field like this, and the next thing that happens is, when the dog goes out to hunt, it runs around in this big open field. It doesn't go down in this cover where the birds are. So what we need to do is, as we plant birds, we should plant those birds in that natural cover so that that dog develops the capability to say, that's where the birds are, I want to go down there. So we're going to plant the birds in the cover. We're going to allow that dog to find them. Then we'll go ahead and shoot those birds for it, allow it to retrieve. All of it will be just like hunting. Now don't get me wrong, this does not replace hunting in the wild. That dog needs that experience of hunting wild birds, but we're going to give it every opportunity to develop its capabilities prior to going out there and experiencing that. Let's take a look at this young dog and see how she does. Come on, Abby. All right. Abby? All right. Whoa! Whoa! Abby, over here. Abby! Abby, whoa! 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 Abby, come, come, come. Abby, come, come. Come here. Come, 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 come. Abby, whoa! Whoa! Abby, over here, over here. Here. Come. Abby, whoa! Whoa! Over here, Abby, come on. Abby, come. Come. Come here, come. Now, as you note, when I whoa that young dog, I walk in the direction that I want that dog to go because it's important. What you're doing is actually leading that dog in the direction that you want to be. Just as in our section on staunchness on point, we're going to be using pigeons again. Now I'm going to show you a little different method in planting this bird than I did in the previous one. We're going to take this bird's head and we're going to tuck it under his wing like this. Then when we put the bird in the cover, we'll put that wing up against the cover, laying the bird on its back. Okay? Now, as you see, I'm still using gloves because that's an important part of this to keep that human scent off from that bird. Now, we're going to use a young dog here that you saw previously, Ace, and we're just starting to teach this dog to be steady to wing and shot. Ace, come, come. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa. Now, I'm going to show you a little different variation in terms of using the flank rope. I'm going to put that around his flank like so. Whoa. Come here, Ace. Come. Come here, Ace. Come here. Whoa. Come here, Ace. Whoa, whoa. So as you see, whoa, that's around his flank like this. Now, what we're going to do again is we'll take that dog down on the downwind side, put it into the bird, allow it to point. We'll style it up. We'll reinforce the whoa command. We'll rub him, tell him he's doing right before we go in to flush that bird. Now, whoa. Previously, we let that dog chase. We allowed him a degree of freedom because we wanted to maintain his positive attitude. Now we're going to exercise a little more control over him. So if he chases, we're going to yank on that cord because we don't want that dog to chase that bird. So let's take him out there, let him point that bird, and see what happens. All right, Ace, come here, come here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Whoa. Again, we're going to style him up. Whoa. If he creeps, we're going to set him back. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Now we've got to tell him when he does right. So we'll style him up. We'll give him the whoa command. We'll reinforce him. Whoa. I'll maintain the check cord. And we'll flush the bird. Whoa. 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 Now we want to tell that dog that he's done right. That's vitally important at this stage in his life because the other alternative would have been if he chased that bird, we'd have yanked this cord, we'd have brought that dog back, we'd have reset him, we might have walked back out in front of him, whoa, we'd have flushed, fired the gun, we may even have thrown our cap. Anything that's diversionary, we would have done to that dog. But he stood, we'll tell him he's done right, we'll go ahead and release him and let him hunt a little bit before we whoa him so that we can quit on a positive note. Here, come here. Ace, whoa, whoa, come here. All right. That's a boy, that's a boy.
We've just seen Harold deal with staunchness on point, handling response, and steadiness to wing and shot. Now let's see how all of this training comes into play in an actual hunting situation. Remember these scenes? The German wire-haired pointer, Hans, having been properly trained, hunted intelligently and handled responsively, checking back in frequently. He used the wind well and eventually picked up scent and established point. After Harold flushed the bird for Bob, Hans stood steady to wing, shot, and kill until Harold released him for the retrieve. All right, Hans, leave it. Good dog.
Terrific.
The last part of those dramatic scenes was a very nice retrieve to hand. Retrieving is an important but often overlooked part of pointing dog training. Harold deals with it next.
Whoa. Whoa. Whoa, whoa. Fetch. We just saw that young Vizsla make a happy and enthusiastic retrieve. And the question is, how did we get there? Well, what we like to do is work on the natural retrieving ability of a dog. And we start out by using a rolled up burlap sack wrapped with electrical tape as a retrieving dummy. And we play with the pup and we tease him so that he gets enthused over it. Then we toss it out there, call him to us, back away. Come here, come, Gunner, come. That's a boy, that's a boy. Yes, And you notice we maintain control. And it's very important that you do that at this point in time. Now what I did is, I teased him, I threw it back. When he got it, I moved away from him, and I called the dog to me. Let's try it one more time, Gunner. Gunther, come. That's a boy, yes. That's a good boy. Now, you have to praise that dog when it comes back. I maintain control with the check cord. They have to maintain their enthusiasm for this, and as you notice, enthusiasm is no problem for this young dog. We keep our sessions short. If we have to, we go into a controlled environment. It may be in a room, it might be in a fenced-in space. What we do after that is we'll go to the series where we use the retrieving dummy. Then, of course, we put it in a more natural setting, in that we move to shooting a bird and allowing that dog to retrieve a bird. Let's go, Gunner, and see what's going on. Huh? Whoa. 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 Come on, that's the way, Husker. Come here. Come here. Whoa. 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 Come here, Haley. Oop, oop. 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 Oh, baby. Oop. Now, whoa. Oop. Oop. Whoa. Here. Come here. Okay, let's recap what we've just seen. We teased that young dog with the burlap bag retrieving dummy. We allowed it to fetch. We then made the change to the retrieving dummy with the older dog, held it steady a little bit, still kept it on a positive plane, and then we made the transition to birds. We shot a bird for that dog. We sent that dog. We gave it the command fetch. When it brought it back, we had that dog hold that bird. We gave it a lot of positive praise. Now, the thing to remember is that you have to keep fairly frequent sessions of this training. Now, there is another important aspect of retrieving that we've not touched upon, and that's force breaking to retrieve. Unfortunately, time doesn't allow us to get into that at this point in time. But there is one more important aspect that we do want to touch upon, because every gun dog should honor. Well, you're probably wondering what these crazy contraptions are. This is a fiberglass silhouette, spring-loaded, tied to an electronic bird releaser with a transmitter, and we use this to teach a dog to honor another dog's point. Now, people come up with the question, why should my dog honor another dog's point? And what usually occurs is that a man will go out and buy a dog and he's fairly successful and happy with that dog. And the next thing he wants to do is buy another dog to go with it. Now when that occurs, of course, those two dogs get competitive. If they have not been trained to honor each other, what will happen is that they'll start stealing points. One of the dogs will jump in, and the next thing you know, neither dog is pointing birds. That's the first thing that can occur. The second thing is that you have a good friend and you tell him how great your dog is, and he says, I've got a good dog too, let's go hunting. So what happens is, both of those dogs have been hunted by themselves, neither one honors, and again you have that same competition and problem. So, if you hunt them enough together, what will happen is, chances are they may start honoring. They may not. It may get so competitive that you have to go have somebody do some preventative training for you so you can get the problem corrected. Now, if a gentleman wants to train his dog himself and work on honoring by himself, this silhouette is called a back-off jack. Now, as I said, it's controlled by an electronic bird releaser. You don't have to be quite that refined. These things do come and they have manual releasers so that you can pull a string and the silhouette pops back up. We'll put a pigeon in this releaser. We reset it. It's set into a sequence where the dog will pop up. If you're training your dog to honor and you've done your homework and you've taught that dog to whoa, you can bring that dog in. When the silhouette pops up, you whoa that dog. Then you can release that bird and fly away. Fire your gun to simulate the hunting situation, and you've got a good training situation to teach a dog to honor. Let's get a dog and I'll show you how this thing works. Come here, Come here. Whoa, whoa. Whoa, whoa. Now what we don't want to forget is that the check cord is still an important part of this training exercise. So what we're going to do is run this check cord back through that dog's collar, put it around his flanks again, so that when we get him out there, we can say, whoa. We can also stop him if necessary. Now this is the same as we did in teaching the dog whoa and in our yard exercise, so that the dog is fairly familiar with the command and he's fairly familiar with the check cord. Let's go take a look at what he does. Come here. Come here. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Now remember, as your dog backs, you want to go up, reinforce him, style him up, let him know that he's done right. Step on your check cord, release your bird, and fire your gun. Whoa, 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 whoa. Good boy, good boy. The next step, of course, is to get your friend and his dog out there so that you can take turns honoring each other. Just remember, to be a finished gun dog, your dog should honor.
Doc, I know that you've been named the Midwest Amateur Handler of the Year for the last several years in a row now. And I know that you train most of your own dogs. But I also know that you have a number of your dogs trained by professional trainers like Harold. And with all of that in mind, it seems to me that you are eminently well qualified to answer a question that I've heard many times. You ready for it? There's a lot of people who would like to own a finished gun dog, but they just don't have the time or the patience or the temperament or the inclination to train their own dog. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if that's the case, then what those people have to do is find a professional trainer. So the question's this, Doc. How do you go about selecting a professional trainer?
This is not a simple question. It's complicated by the fact that you have to know what you want out of a trainer and what you expect that trainer to do with your dog. you have to have proper expectations so the trainer understands, whoever you select, so he understands what you're looking for in his ability and what you want him to do with your dog. An example would be if we're dealing with pointing dogs and we want to deal specifically with a short hair or English pointer, that type of pointing dog, we would probably look very closely to sending this dog to someone who would be a foot hunter, because this is mostly about foot hunting. Things that you have to look for, since this is pheasant and quail country, if I wanted to have my dog trained for pheasant and quail, then I would want to take him to somebody who was in a pheasant and quail area, and maybe not in a grouse area or a woodcock area or a prairie chicken area, because I'm going to hunt pheasant and quail. So you then get into evaluating the grounds or the area that the man trains in. Are they kind of similar to what you train in? Does this trainer have game birds available? Now, we know that he's going to use pigeons for most of his training because of the expense factor, but you're going to hunt pheasants or you're going to hunt quail and not pigeons, and so you want your dog trained on those kinds of birds. And so there's a lot of factors you have to take into consideration. Maybe you want your dog trained to be a field trial and a hunting dog. Then you need to go to a field trial type handler. Or if you just want a good foot hunting dog, then you need to look at that type of trainer who specializes in that area.
The vast majority of the viewers of this tape would be looking for are people who are going to train hunting dogs. So they'd want to look for a trainer whose reputation is in that area, and also probably get some references, check that person out a little bit. Now, after they found that trainer, what do we have a right to expect from that trainer?
What you can expect from a trainer, a lot of it depends upon how much you're willing to do yourself. If you're willing to socialize that dog in the beginning and teach him the simple things, like to come and to hoe and that sort of thing, what we call yard training, then you can expect the trainer to do a considerable amount of training with your dog in the first few months, usually 2 to 3 months, when the dog's somewhere around a year of age, plus or minus. And then you need to take the dog back when he's 2 or 3 to have the finishing training put on. Now, it's easy to have a dog trained to be a basic hunting dog in several months in 2 different segments of time segments in the dog's life, like as I said, at a year and about 2 years, to have what we call a started dog. And for some men, this is a satisfactory hunting dog. And this would be a dog that would be mostly steady on point, and he would be a natural retriever, and he'd be broke to the gun. But then it's like buying a car. If we want some accessories like heel, force braking, honoring, those are all accessories, and it takes longer to do these things. And if you're willing to pay for them, they can be taught to a dog, or a dog can at least have the chances to develop it. So some of it depends upon what you're willing to pay also.
Thank you, Doc. We really appreciate having you here with us and having the benefit of your expertise. Well, Doc, this brings us to the end of the training tape.
It's been fun. We've enjoyed having you all out here.
And we have enjoyed it very much. I just enjoy dogs so much, and I know you feel exactly the same way, and it's been such a joy to work with Harold. You know, Doc, I enjoy talking about dogs, and I enjoy training dogs, and I just kind of enjoy being around dogs. But there's one thing that I like to do with dogs more than anything else.
I think I know what that is, Dave. Let's go.
Let's go get him. Hello, Harold. Let's turn him loose.